For centuries, Britain was a bastion of democracy. Today, it's become a bastion of censorship. Police hunt down and charge anyone who expresses what the government says is a wrong idea. Dale Hurd brings us that story from London.
When a British lawyer and free speech advocate wanted to test the United Kingdom's censorship laws, she tweeted that perhaps her cat is a Methodist because it likes Dreamy's cat treats. Then she asked a friend to report her for hate speech against Methodists to see what might happen. And local police issued a case number. Sarah Phillimore then tweeted more nonsensical posts about her pets and says she now has a police record.
And it was recorded under the heading, "A Barrister Posting Hate."
When British police stopped Army veteran Adam Smith Connor as he was praying for a son lost to an abortion while standing in an abortion clinic buffer zone, officers' first question to him was, "What is the nature of your prayer?"
What is the nature of your prayer?
I'm praying for my son.
And for that, Smith Connor was convicted of what many are calling a thought crime. Dr. Kelvin Wright, also a British Army veteran, saw his military career effectively ruined after being put through an Army disciplinary process for sharing a social media post in favor of women's rights that offended a transgender British soldier. Although exonerated, Wright left the Army.
So you ask me what the moral is? Well, the frightening moral is that don't say any opinions.
British police have investigated 250,000 so-called non-crime hate incidents in the last 10 years, an average of 66 every day. And some have gone to prison. When it comes to freedom, Britain is at a tipping point. This is a nation that prides itself as being a champion of liberty. And yet some are warning that Britain is sleepwalking into a totalitarian future. Toby Young, the founder of Britain's Free Speech Union, says a few years ago he thought the censorship in Britain couldn't possibly get worse. Now he says that was naive.
I liken it to falling through a burning building. You know, every time you think things can't get any worse and you've finally reached rock bottom, the floor gives way and you're falling again.
Some, like London Telegraph columnist Alison Pearson, have been investigated for social media posts a year or more old, what Toby Young calls offense archaeology. Get charged with a non-crime hate incident and it can become a stain on your career, showing up on background checks.
No reasonable person wants to have on a police record that you are guilty of some form of hate.
After former police officer Harry Miller faced charges of what police labeled transphobic hate speech in 2019, he began the organization Fair Cop to challenge law enforcement interfering with free speech. He was joined by Sarah Phillimore.
The vast majority of police officers in this country are sick and tired of this nonsense. They too have to be careful about the opinions that they express because they too can find themselves at the wrong end of a non-crime hate incident, a disciplinary, and potentially being thrown out of the police force. But I've seen far too many police officers who look like they are enjoying what they're doing.
While Britain does not have a First Amendment like the U.S., British common law is supposed to protect speech. However, news commentator Connor Tomlinson says you can't say Britain has free speech when only speech approved by the government is allowed.
So no, we don't have free speech in this country. Instead, if you're a Christian, if you question the open borders, mass immigration agenda, or if you say some, let's say, febrile and ill-advised things on a social media app, but you're not a member of a state-approved left-wing NGO, then you will be...
Oh, and it doesn't stop there. We have Lady Mayor, who was on a trip to check out if Rwanda is sufficient for immigrants to go to. Don't ask, they didn't even go there anyway. But she went on a trip there with Lord Doclian or something like that, and she referred to him as Lord Popat because she confused him with somebody else who's also dealing with East Africa. He issued a formal complaint because she got his name wrong. And now she's suspended from the House of Lords for 3 weeks for getting his name wrong. Yep, this is where we are. Then we have Lord Calms, the founder of Dixon's and Curry's and all that. There's only one required training session you have to go to in the House of Lords, valuing everyone. He refused to go. He is therefore not allowed to go and take his seat. Where are we? Where are we in the UK? Where are we? You have to go. And I had a training session, I'll never forget, and it refused to let me move forward until I picked, if you refer to a non-binary person, so let's say she's a woman becoming a man, and if you refer to them as a woman, you know, you're wrong, right? You have to refer as a man. So I kept on putting woman because that is what she is. And it wouldn't let me go forward. And that never happens in any training session. All training sessions say you failed that question, move on. This one refuses to let you move forward and therefore refuses to let you pass the training, which therefore then goes to your manager and then can get you fired. This is how all the crazy stuff works. That is what's happening in the UK. It is a dystopian, Orwellian, totalitarian state, way more than Russia. Russia, just don't talk about Putin, don't talk about things that annoy Putin, but you want to talk about anything else? Go ahead. They're not bothered. You can go for it. Only in the UK is literally anything offensive to anyone deemed a hate crime. And as he said, a non-crime hate incident can affect you for a background check when they check for your jobs, and no one's going to employ someone who had a hate incident, and therefore you won't get a job. That's what these things do. So the UK is basically a totalitarian. So this is not a joke. You think it's a joke. That's what annoys me. It's not a joke. This is the reality of the UK. It is a totalitarian state. People have to calm their mouths. Hate speech is only permitted if you're pro-Palestine and if you're a certain sect. Everyone else is not allowed. That's how it works. Two-tier. One sect can say whatever they want, free speech. Free speech, they're allowed to say whatever, jihad, kill all the Zionists, whatever, that's fine. Other people, any mention against mass immigration and those problems, you're going to jail, my friend. That's how it works.